it's been a minute since we've had a video, thanks to Snowpocalypse. But we're back, and so we're going to talk today about solving word problems using systems. So we're going to learn how to translate word problems. I know you're all groaning right now, but unfortunately, we learned the math to use it in the real world. Okay, so it makes problem solving easier. So here is our first problem. I have a group of 28 people attending a ball game, and there are 8 fewer adults than twice the number of children, and we want to find the number of children and the number of adult tickets. With systems, I really like to use variables that represent, so it makes sense to me. So I'm using A for adult tickets, and I'm using C for child's tickets. So first thing is we have the number of people. So we had a total of 28 people attend. So adult tickets plus children's tickets is going to be 28 because that's the total number of tickets that we bought. Okay. And then there are 8 fewer adults than twice the children. So with the adults, there are 8 fewer than twice the children. So 2 times the children and 8 fewer would mean subtraction. So there is our system. Okay, and to solve this one, since it's already solved for A, I'm just going to go ahead and use substitution. So I'm going to put 2C minus 8 in for A in the first equation. And then so plus C equals 28. Okay, and I'm going to get 3C minus 8 equals 28. If I add 8 to both sides, I'm going to get 3C equal to 36. If I divide by 3, C equals 12. So I've got children's tickets of 12. So adult tickets, I can put that back in that equation, the 2C minus 8. Or I know here that adult tickets are going to be 28 minus the children's tickets. So 28 minus 12 is going to give me 16. Okay, so this to me, though, I want you to tell me what it means. So we have 12 kids tickets. I always abbreviate TIX for tickets, and I've got 16 adult tickets, and that's my answer. Okay, I want to know what you have of each. So now we have tickets for a spring concert that are $4 per adult and $2.50 per student. We have the Johnsons who purchased 7 tickets for $22, and we want to find the number of adult and student tickets purchased. So I don't like to use S because sometimes my S's look like 5s. So I'm just going to use X for student tickets. So we're going to have 2 equations. We're going to have equations for the number of tickets purchased. And then we're going to have another equation for the cost, or the money. So for the number of tickets purchased, we know that they purchased 7 tickets. So A plus X equals 7. And we know they spent $22. So $4 per adult. So we multiply 4 times the adult, number of adults, times $2.50, which is the cost of the children's tickets, X equals 7. I'm looking at this equation, and I can solve it any way I want, okay? If I multiply the top here by -4, okay, so it's going to give me, and I'm going to write it under this other equation, -4A minus 4X equals -28. Okay. And actually, I lied. This should be Grace. 22. $2 is what we paid for the tickets. All right. So if I cancel out the A's, they're going to go away. 2.5x plus a -4 is -1.5x. and 22 minus 8 is negative 6. If I divide both sides by negative 1.5, I'm going to get x equal to 4. So I'm going to have 4 adult tickets. Okay. Then to find the number of student tickets purchased, I know that, or adult tickets purchased, adults is going to equal 7 minus x, or 7 minus 4, which is equal to 3. So I've got 3 adult tickets and 4 kids tickets. Now, we've got our friend Carl here who likes to babysit and he likes to do yard work. And he gets paid $4.50 to babysit an hour and $5.50 an hour to do yard work. So if he earned $51, how many hours did he spend doing yard work? So he did 10 hours. So we're going to have one equation for the hours. And that would be b plus y equals 10. And then we're going to have one equation for the money. So show me the money. So it's $4.50 an hour to babysit. So I'm just going to chop that into 4.5. And then $5.50 to do yard work. And he made $51. Okay. I can solve this by substitution, and I want to know how many hours he spent doing yard work. So I want to make sure that my y variable stays around. So I'm going to subtract y from the first one, and I'm going to get b equals 10 minus y. Okay. And when I sub that in, I'm now going to sub it into the second equation. So I get 4.5 times, subbing in 10 minus y, equals 5.5 plus 5.5y equals 51. If I distribute, I'm going to get 45 minus 4.5y plus 5.5y equals 51. Okay. If I combine my like terms, I'm going to get 45 plus y, because it's 1y, equals 51. If I subtract 45 from both sides, I'm going to get y equals 6. So he spent 6 hours doing yard work. And we didn't ask about babysitting, so we're done. And that's something that you have to get used to doing, is reading the question and just answering it and not doing the extra stuff. In geometry, a lot of times we'll ask you just for what x is, or we'll ask you what the angles are. So you have to be careful and read the problems. Okay. Money. Anna has 16 coins that total $3. If she only has nickels and quarters, how many quarters does she have? So we have an equation for the number of coins. And that's just going to be n for nickels plus q for quarters equals 16 coins. And then we have for the money, for the value. So nickels are worth 5 cents. Be really careful because that's 0.05 n. And quarters are worth 25 cents. So 25q equals 16. Okay. You can solve this by substitution. You can solve this by elimination. I know that there are 4 quarters and $1. So I'm going to multiply the bottom equation by 4. Or actually, I'm going to multiply it by -4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to eliminate quarters. Okay, so you guys know I like to rewrite. So n plus q equals 16. And then when I multiply, I'm going to get -0.2n plus -1q equal to 300. And now when I add my equations, actually it should be negative 12. Yeah, it's free. It's okay, Miss Craig is losing it. Oh, goodness, because this should be $3. I'm like, where did the 12 come? So negative 12. Guess I'm still on that notation we had. All right. So now when I add my equation, the q's cancel out, and I get 8/10 n equals to 4. When I divide by 8/10, I'm going to get n equal to 4, 5. All right, and then quarters are going to be, because we get a total of 16 coins, 16 minus 5, which is 11. So we have 11 quarters. Couple more problems, because there's just tons of different scenarios, and I want to make sure you guys are good with all of them. Okay? And actually, what I'm going to do for these last 5 examples is I'm just going to set up the problems, because you know how to solve a system. Okay, so here, this Mrs. Crew has bought pencils, and so did Mrs. Houston. Mrs. Crew bought 4 pencils and 3 pens. Mrs. Houston bought 2 pencils and 3 pens. So it can't both be P, so I did X and Y's. So for Mrs. Crew, her equation is 4 pencils plus 3 pens, and it cost her $5.60. So this is actually not the number of pencils, it's the cost of pencils and the cost of pens. And then Miss Houston, or say Miss Houston, bought 2 pencils and 3 pens, and it cost her $4.60. For this equation, I would probably just subtract, okay, because that's going to make it a lot easier, because it'll cancel out the p's. You know how to solve it. Go ahead and solve it. You should actually, I'm not worried about you guys solving it right now. You know how to do it. Just, I'm worried about the equations. Okay. So now I've got apples and pears costing $1.07. And again, this is my cost, not the number. Got carried away. Okay. So 6 apples and 1 pear. 6 apples and 1 pear are $1.07. 3 apples and 6 pears are $1.47. Okay. Standard form, I would probably multiply the bottom by -2. It would get rid of the A's. Or I could multiply the top by -6, and it would get rid of the P's. All right. So the perimeter of a rectangular playing field is 244 feet. If its length is 2 feet longer than twice its width, what are the dimensions? So I have a field, and a picture always helps, right? And I've got length and I've got width. So the formula for perimeter, and I've got length and width, is to add up the sides. So I have 2 L's plus 2 W's equal to 244. And then we know that the length is 2 feet longer than twice the width. So remember, is means equals. So length equals 2 feet longer, so 2 more than twice the width. And there's my system. This one, because the equation's already solved for L, I would do substitution. Got movie tickets again. Joe has bought 9 tickets for $54. Okay, and adult tickets cost $8, and each child cost $3.50. So we're going to have an equation for the number of tickets, and we're going to have a number for the cost of the tickets, an equation. So for the number, it's just going to be adults plus children equals 9. For cost, it's going to be 8 times the adult plus 350 times the children, and that total cost is $54. So you guys can go ahead and solve that system. And now we have a video game where Paul scored 3 more than twice as many points as Ron did, and the difference between their scores was 270 points. How many points did each score? So the first situation is we have Paul scored 3 more than twice as many points as Ron. So Paul's score is 3 more, so 3 plus twice Ron's score. And then their difference is 270, so that means subtraction. Now you're going to have to use some common sense here. Paul scored 3 more than twice as many points as Ron. So Paul scored more points than Ron. So this equation, the difference would be P minus R equals 270. All right, so I went over 9 systems today and solved 4 of them using a variety of methods, substitution or elimination. Okay, and I set up 5 more problems for you. Setting them up, I think, is the harder part. You guys are pretty good at solving systems, so that's why I keyed in on just setting those up. If you have any questions, again, see me in class and have an awesome, awesome day.